All right. It's time. We're getting into the new Sleep Token album, Even in Arcadia. This album is 10 songs, 56 minutes.
It's a long album.
It's a long album. This is the band's fourth full-length album. The band consists of lead vocalist Vessel, drummer 2, along with touring members, bass player 3, and lead guitarist 4. If you are unfamiliar with this band, you've obviously been living under a rock because they are completely unavoidable if you are any way, shape, or form involved in the metal scene or if you're a fan. So that said, I want to get this part out there right away. Justin and I are not worshipers, and we have no intentions of talking about the lore of the band because honestly, we know nothing about it. So don't comment and say, oh, I can't believe you missed this and this. We don't know this band like that. We're here to give an honest review of this album, and that's what we intend to do today.
We reviewed Take Me Back to Eden way back on episode 38. You can find it wherever you stream your podcasts at. But other than that, we really don't listen to this band at all. So,
no, we don't. But we're going to go into this review, and we're going to be unbiased, and we're going to give you our honest review of what this album sounds like to us. So we have not listened to this album yet. We're going to listen to this album blindly, and then we're going to give you our thoughts on each track.
Yeah, and like I said in the intro on the full episode, like, I want to like this band. I'm not going in here wanting to hate this album. I don't want to sit here for an hour and not like it. So just because we're not currently fans of the band doesn't mean we're going in looking to hate.
No, I really hope it's good. If not, it's going to be a long 56 and a half minutes. So we're going to kick it off first with the first song, Look to Windward. Big, epic, nearly 8-minute track to kick this album off. To me, the Zelda music kind of clashes with the vocals a little bit at the beginning. It just doesn't seem as smooth as it was probably intended to be. But we do finally get some heavy guitars at about the 3.5 minute mark. Very Deftones-esque, shoegazy style. But it drops off nearly as quickly as it started.
Shit.
Yeah. Then we go full pop. And then, from there, the song is it's very meandering. And while I don't like a lot of the directions that it goes, it's actually blended pretty well, especially compared to the songs on their last album, which I felt had very abrupt transitions.
Yeah, the transitions in between these different styles isn't bad. I liked the kind of 8-bit era Zelda opening background music.
It, but it seemed to clash with the vocals a bit to me.
Well, I don't really like Vessel's vocal. It seems very soulless. There's this weird quiver in his voice that I'm not a fan of. And he also has this squeak at times. It just really irks me when I hear it. The track builds and builds throughout and through the second verse, and then it finally explodes, as you talked about. That breakdown was really heavy. It smacks you in the face. It's pretty powerful, but it doesn't last. The music goes into that pop electronic stuff that you mentioned. Vocal gets weird again. Another change happens. You get some pianos and a very light vocal that just didn't sound good at all. The piano sounded good, not the vocal. It eventually closes heavy as hell. Yeah. Many twists and turns here through the 7.5 minutes, but honestly, there's probably only like 60 seconds of this song that I actually liked. It has a lot of potential. If the fat was trimmed after that first breakdown, he might have had something solid here, but it just, as you mentioned, it meanders around too much.
The end was pretty fucking cool, but it was like 20 seconds maybe of heaviness right at the very end. That was pretty cool. But yeah, in general, I agree. I mean, they're kind of up their own asses a little bit with the artistic stuff at this point.
It comes off kind of pretentious.
Yeah, it does. So, that's what happens in these kind of situations. I mean, this band is, they're believing their own hype, and now they're going to be like, oh, we're gonna push it to another level. So we'll see where we go from here. The next track is titled Emergence.
This is the first single from the album.
So another really long song, 6.5 minutes.
Yep.
This starts out like a Josh Groban Christian praise song. And in no way do I mean that as a compliment. I felt like I was in church and I did not like that feeling. The weird auto-tune,
Worship.
go ahead, wrap your arms around me. That part is terrible.
It's really bad.
I strongly dislike that part. I'm not going to lie, though. The rappy part at least felt fresh. Sounded like something that was kind of unique for this band. Didn't sound like stuff that other people are doing. A lot of people incorporate the rap stuff. They kind of did it a little different, so I'll give them credit for that. Again, there are heavy parts here, but it's all pretty standard stuff, like nothing that really blows me away. And then finally at the end, we get to my personal favorite part. We get some super smooth saxophone to close it out. And that is my favorite part of the entire song.
Yeah. That melodic opening, I actually thought Vessel's vocal through that wasn't sounding bad, but yeah, I definitely got the church vibes. It wasn't really feeling it too much. But 90 seconds in, when the song takes that turn and you kind of talk about more of the rappy type of vocal that he does, I really like that. And there's kind of this offbeat drum pattern that's going on that's pretty cool. And this track, I've actually heard this song a few times. This was the first single, as we mentioned, and I've heard it a couple of times, so it's kind of grown on me a little bit.
That part was one of the most interesting things I've heard in any of their songs.
It's really fun.
It sounded unique and fresh, and I think that's what made it stand out, because so much of what they're doing here, it's been done already. Like, it doesn't feel fresh. It feels rehashed. I mean, there's so much Deftones worship in this, in their catalog in general. Like, it's crazy.
It's a new Deftones with face paint and some little bit more pop mixed in. After that really fun section, it gets a little bit heavier, then it drops back out again, and they lose me a little bit before you get that whoop. That's really funny. And then
that was really random. That was weird. I'm glad you brought that up, because I heard that and I was like, what the? This is a serious fucking album. Where did this little woo come from? Like,
and it leads right back into a heavy part. So I thought it was a really interesting transition there. Weird, man. And I love the sax at the end. Again,
kudos to whoever wrote and played that sax. That was killer, man.
Yeah, it was Gabby something or other. I can't remember her name right now.
Gabby something or other. You fucking killed it.
Yeah, I don't mind this track, but again, it's too long. It could be trimmed up, and it would probably sound a lot better in my opinion.
All right, so we're getting into the next track now, which is titled Past Self. Much shorter song this time. This one's only 3.5 minutes.
God, thankfully.
I am so thankful for that. This sounds like all of the music that I've spent my entire life avoiding. This sounds like every generic pop song that I've heard in my life, and I have absolutely no desire to ever listen to this song again.
Same. This was straight pop. I did not like it from the first note. I was glad it was only 3.5 minutes. I'm not trying to be a hater here, but like, what is that?
I'm not either, but
what is that?
There's a difference between me not feeling something and something that like actually makes me feel bad when I listen to it. And this song did not make me feel good. Like, it put me in a bad mood. I don't like this kind of music. And I'm sorry to the people that do. If you're watching this, I'm just being honest. Like, this is not for me.
No.
There's a reason that I got into metal, and it was to avoid this type of stuff. So,
like this, yeah.
It's
one thing when you dabble in it. You're putting out whole songs like that, though. It's like, what is that? Like, bring me dabbles in this stuff. There's plenty of bands that dabble in it. Whole songs of it, though, you're talking about a whole different genre at that point. So
yeah, this one was painful to hear. I'm not gonna lie.
Some might say it was dangerous. And that's the next track.
So these dudes should totally be scoring video games, because they definitely have a talent for that. Like, the sounds that they're creating here are pretty cool, and that's, it's basically like serves as the bottom layer of this atmosphere that they're creating. This song does have also like a heavy part, but the heavy part is really just loud. It's not heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically just using the guitar distortion to make the song sound more dangerous.
Yeah, and when it gets loud, it's every sound is battling the next. You really can't tell what's what. It all gets drowned out, and it's not good. It's a mess. And the rest of the song is just like a basic ass pop song. I'm not really feeling it at all. It might be good video game music, but I am not enjoying this listen right now.
Yeah. And like you mentioned off the mic, I mean, when there are cool things happening, like with the drums and stuff, the way that it's mixed, it kind of drowns that stuff out. So you can't really hear it. And that's because this album is mixed like a pop album. So when there is some cool metal thing that might be happening in the song, it doesn't sound the way that our ears are accustomed to hearing it.
Mm-mm.
And therefore it just doesn't stand out in the same way. So All right. We're getting into the next song, Caramel.
I believe this was the second single, and lyrically, it's directed at a lot of the obsessive, crazy fans in their cult.
Oh, they have obsessive fans? I didn't know that.
Way.
So this one starts out sounding like you're putting the baby down to sleep for the night.
That's like the last track again.
Yeah. Then we get this pretty standard pop beat that Vessel just kind of drones over for the first minute or so.
Doesn't he feel like he's bored?
I don't hear a lot of like...
It's very inauthentic. Even though this song is particularly talking about like very personal stuff to him about way the fans, you know, and the whole how he's become famous and didn't really want all that fame, you know, and he'd rather just be in his own little world.
Yeah.
But like it still feels very soulless. Like there's, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying where you don't really feel the emotion in his voice. And I think that's what often happens when things are overproduced to this point, you know?
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It definitely takes that human element out of it. And I definitely think that we're hearing that here. I mean, some of my favorite albums of all time, you know, they're not the best produced and they're, you know, they're a little bit more raw.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what you want, you know?
What do you think his voice sounds like? Like, I know a lot of people use auto tunes and stuff now, but it's heavy on his voice. What do you think it really even sounds like? Because I don't know.
I think it's hard to tell from listening to the albums. I mean, there's so much production on the vocals.
Yeah.
It's really hard to know what this guy would sound like completely stripped down.
Yeah.
So we get another little bit of a heavy part, like a Deftones-esque heavy part that happens about 3.5 minutes in. And it's pretty cool. It's not mind-blowing by any means, but just know that if you're going to edge me for 3.5 minutes, like I'm expecting a little bit more of a payoff than what we got there. So,
and the heavy section again was just very noisy.
Like right. There's not like it's not like a cool breakdown. There's not like cool riffing going on. It's more just like hitting some notes, just creating the atmosphere more. And maybe that's what they felt the song needed. I don't know, and it's hard because everyone tells us this is a metal band, so we're looking at it through the lens of metalheads.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we're probably not the right people to be reviewing this. Probably if somebody reviewed this, that was more of a fan of pop music, they might have a completely different critique of this album. I don't know.
They might. And to be fair, this band has never said they're metal, but they are covered by all metal outlets. So it's, it muddies the water.
They're marketed to us as a metal band.
So
yeah.
Next up is the title track, Even in Arcadia.
So boring. There's not much I can even really say about this song. Like it just didn't do anything for me at all. Much like the saxophone earlier in the album, the violin is the best part of this entire song. And it's because it breaks up the monotony of this song. It actually stands out because this song is very monotonous. It just kind of drags on and it really just seemed to go nowhere to me.
So I think the placement of this song is what's bad, not necessarily the song itself. It's coming after like 3 very slow songs. This would have been a better opener, or if it was in the same placement, but maybe the tracks before and after are heavier, it would have been a nice little interlude. But after you're just like digging through mud with the past 3 songs, not really going anywhere, and then you're still not going anywhere here. Like you're just sinking in the mud at this point. Like,
yeah, the momentum is just halted.
It's
completely.
Just like, what is going on? I don't hate this song. I just think the placement is horrible.
You might be right. I mean, it just seemed so.
It was very
hard to even keep my attention. But then when that violin part came on, I was like, right.
It feels like it's building to something. Maybe the next track is what it'll build to. As Bobby would always say, this is the midway point of the album. This is track number 6. So this would be the start of the second half.
Yeah, back half.
So
let's hope Bobby's right, man.
It should not have followed those 3 songs. That's all.
So the next track coming up is Provider.
Hopefully it'll provide us something good. The first 3 minutes was like some baby making music. And then we got a heavy part again, but it sounds damn near exactly like the last few heavy parts in the previous few tracks. there seems to be a basic formula they keep doing in almost every song where it starts slow, it builds up a little, then they slow it back down, then you get a heavy part, then they slow it back down, then you get a heavy part. Honestly, I'm very bored at this point.
I'm struggling to even find anything to say about these tracks at this point. I like the few seconds of the Steph Carpenter riffing, but the rest of the song is very uninteresting to me, and I was hoping to find something a little bit more here. But at this point, this album's putting me in a bad mood. I'm straight up not having a good time, and that's not why we do this. So it kind of sucks.
No,
so
this is it's like they're recycling the same song over and over and just tweaking it, and I'm not feeling it at all.
Let's see what the next track's got for us. The next track is called Damocles. So as we go on here, I'm just having more and more trouble, like really finding anything interesting to say about these songs, because they don't really grab my interest. I do think this overall is one of the better songs on the album, but it's not really saying a whole lot because it still wasn't a super exciting song to me. But this one felt very cohesive, where some of their songs are a little disjointed at times. That's all I can really say about it. I mean, it was fine. I didn't hate it.
Man, if we were not reviewing this album, I probably would have turned it off a long time ago. No, I definitely would have turned it off a long, long time ago. There's so much slow, just boring stuff on this album.
Yeah, a lot of it. It's really tough.
I'm starting to understand why they don't have a full-time bass and guitar player, because they're pretty much non-existent the entire time. It's a lot of electronic stuff, and 2 is buried in the drums on there. I heard that guy's pretty talented. You'd never know listening to this album. He's barely there. The piano at the end's nice, but next.
Yeah, the piano was nice. Is there a theme? Like, we seem to prefer the parts where Vessel's not singing.
I don't like him as a vocalist. I don't mind his heavy stuff. His heavy vocal sounds nice. All of his clean stuff to me, though, it's like he's trying to project this very important message, which is very important to a lot of people. But to me, it sounds phony. It sounds forced. It does not sound authentic, and I don't like it.
All right, so I already know I'm going to get some hate for trying to pronounce this song, so just know that I'm going to butcher this. But
Gethsemane, right?
I was going to say Gethsemane, maybe Gethsemane.
It's track number 9.
But go ahead, leave me a comment. Tell me how I fucked it up. It's okay. There's no way I got it right. So I'm comfortable saying this is the best song on the album so far.
Huh? Were we listening to the same thing?
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a great song. I'm saying this was the best song on the album so far.
What the fuck?
Just before the 1.5-minute mark, we get a little funk infusion.
Yeah, I did like that.
After my heart. I mean, that's the best moment of the album so far, in my opinion. And then comical lyrics. Look, I know I'm taking this out of context. I don't care. I heard a little part, and then I had to look at the lyrics to see what it said. I don't care what the context is. This shit's funny. You never saw me naked. You wouldn't even touch me, except if you were wasted. But you were trying your best, and that's what I tell the others. What the fuck kind of shit is that? I don't know. That's hilarious. But this song has like an actual riff, and it's actually pretty badass. It's only a small part of the song, as usual, but it is a very cool riff, and I did appreciate it.
The opening falsetto stuff was pretty horrendous, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, he went total Tiny Tim on us there at the beginning. We were tiptoeing through the tulips over here.
So bad. I did like the funk part that you mentioned, but much like anything cool with this band, it didn't last long. And guess what came right after it? A slow part.
Yeah.
Into some muddy heavy part after that. And guess what happened next? It slowed down again. And here comes the heavy to close it, which did sound good, but it's the same formula.
That's the problem, I think, though. Like, so as I'm telling you, like, this is the best song on the album, I can't find a song in which I like the entire thing.
No.
Like, I like parts of this and parts of that, but there are no songs that I like from start to finish, including this one. Like, I would never listen to this song again, but it had a cool riff, it had some funk, and the lyrics made me laugh. So there's that.
We're picking up breadcrumbs at this point, but at least we're into the closer. But it's like 8.5 minutes, right?
8.5 minutes.
Infinite baths. I'm going to need a bath to cleanse after this.
Here we go. 5.5 minutes. That's how long it took to get to the heavy parts of this song. 51 minutes. That's how long it took to get to the part of this album that could actually be considered metal. And it was cool. There was a big explosion at the end of this album. It got really heavy, heavier than anything I've probably heard from this band as far as, instrumentally. It was cool. Certainly not anything that I haven't heard done better by many other bands. But after a long 51 minutes, it was nice to have some kind of payoff. They really, really made us work for that. And I don't think it was worth what we put in.
I totally zoned out until that heavy part, but that heavy part is, again, produced so poorly that it's a lot of it's very noisy. They did let it breathe for a little bit, and you got that big chuggy riff that I liked a lot. But man, again, it was
there's some Gojira chugging in there towards the end.
Yeah. And it to be fair, it didn't follow the formula where they went, soft again after the heavy part. They stayed heavy for the remainder of that track, which
and then they just had a nice fade out at the end.
Yeah, they didn't know how to end it, so they faded it.
It was a good ending. Like I think it was a good closer.
Yeah,
no, it wasn't a good closer. The closing part of the closer was good.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
The rest of the song, like you said, I kind of zoned out. And
so, man, I went into this not a fan of the band, with an open mind, and honestly, I wanted to enjoy the album and understand the appeal here, but it just reinforced how much this band is not for me at all. I'm not a fan of pop music, and unfortunately, that's what 90% of this album is. If you're saying anything different, you're just lying to yourself. The heavy parts are sometimes interesting, but often it just sounds like the same thing in every song. And to me, they're a complete mess because they're just so muddy, you can't really tell what's going on. I'm glad we have a band breaking through the walls and bringing fans to the scene, but is this really the right band? I personally don't think so. The Obsessive Cult is weird to the point that Vessel wrote a song on this album about them, and they still don't get it. They're like Swifties. These are not really the kind of people that I want in the metal community, personally. But this review isn't about the fans, it's about the music, and I just don't feel the music at all. In a year of great albums, and I mean fucking great albums, we have this shit in the middle.
And it's going to be in everybody's top list on all these metal magazines.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. This is going to end up getting more hype than anything else, and it's very unfortunate. This was worse than the last album, Take Me Back to Eden, which I gave a 2. So I guess this one gets a 1 out of 6 for me. So count me down. It's been a while.
6.
If you guys don't know, when we give a 1, we got to do 6 positive things about the album. It's been so long that I figure I'd give you that refresher. So number 6, the production through the pop parts is super clean.
5.
Whoop.
4.
The breakdown in the first track. It's probably my favorite part of the album.
3.
The classical instruments are standout moments, whether it's the saxophone, the violin, or the piano. I did enjoy when those came up.
Agreed. 2.
This band in general is breaking into the mainstream.
1.
The imagery. And let's be honest, that's probably why this band got noticed to begin with. Vessel's mask is really cool, and this version is the best one yet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your 6 positives. Overall, I think this is a tough one because I think we were kind of throwing a curveball with this one. This band is obviously not a metal band, but they get covered by every media outlet that is connected to the metal scene. Every metal YouTuber and reactor covers this band, and they're constantly discussed in metal forums. So therefore, we're reviewing them as we would any other metal band, which maybe does the band a disservice. I don't know. That said, working with the criteria that we've established over the past 3 years of doing this show, as a metal fan listening to this album, it's very underwhelming. I tried to go into this, just like Justin said, with an open mind, but this is one of the most boring albums I've ever listened to
in my life.
And it's not that they incorporate elements of pop music, because there's plenty of bands I listen to that incorporate pop music. I love Electric Callboy. They pop music all day. Lots of bands I listen to have that. The problem is they build entire songs out of elements that I've spent my entire life avoiding because I don't like that kind of music. And then they throw some stock Deftones riffs in there and people go nuts for it. Anyone that's listened or watched our videos before knows that we are not elitist by any stretch of the imagination. One of Justin's favorite bands is Fallen in Reverse, for fuck's sake. I mean, we embrace mainstream stuff just as much as we do underground stuff.
Linkin Park,
So-
I love Linkin Park. I'm not ashamed at all about the more pop side of the metal that I love.
No, good music is good music to us. And so we're not hating on this band because they're popular. That's not it. They're popular. We want to understand what the hype is about. And honestly, I just can't get it. I mean, is it just that you all want to be part of something bigger? I mean, I guess I can see how maybe people get caught up in the lore and the aesthetics of the band, but the music just doesn't do anything for me. I always try to avoid being a hater of any kind, at all costs, because I don't like those type of people. But, just listening to this band, if I'm being honest, it just did not bring me joy. In fact, it really didn't make me feel any kind of emotion other than just boredom and frustration. And one of the reasons I listen to music is for the emotional connection. And it's just not here for me. I don't hear it. Justin mentioned it a couple of times. Like, there's times where Vessel's singing and it just feels kind of bland. Like, it just feels kind of
like he's going through the motions.
right. So overall, I liked this album less than the last album. There isn't one single song on here that I ever want to listen to again.
Yeah.
There are at least moments where I can see what it is that may draw some other people to this band. And to say that the band is not talented would be ridiculous, because obviously it's a very well produced album. It's very, they can write pop songs and, they write boring pop songs. But because of the level of production, because the band is talented, I can't really say in good faith that it's a 1 for me. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 6.
I mean, it is what it is. So,
and for context, when we did the last album,
Take Me Back to
Eden, I believe Justin gave that one a 2 and I gave it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
We've both went down an entire point on this album. So
that one had more metal elements, had some more interesting songs. That one actually has a couple of songs that I do listen to from time to time. Not regularly, but when they come on, I don't turn them off. I don't hate them. I don't know if there's a single song, as you mentioned, on this album that I'll ever want to hear again.
No, there's really not. And I'm not trying to, we try to be very objective with these things. And if you go watch any of our other videos, you will see that that's exactly what we are. But we're just being honest. And kind of when we review albums, we're kind of looking at it as like, is that stuff I want to listen to again or not? I don't want to hear this stuff. Like, none of it's going on a playlist. I don't care to hear the album again. It's just not exciting to me. So, again, kind of the whole reason that we did this review, though, is because there's this big phenomena that we don't understand. So if you're watching this video or if you're listening to the podcast and you're a fan, hey, we'd love to have some discourse with you as far as, why you like it, what you like about it, what we're missing. We don't necessarily want the crazy worshipers coming at us, but if you want to have a civilized conversation and let us know what we're missing, sure, we're open to that. Absolutely.
I'm telling you, if your whole social media profile is based around this band, just good for you. You love the band, but
we're not going to be able to have a productive conversation. But look, I understand. I understand some people like it. And if you clicked on this video because you're a big fan and, you're really disappointed in this, I'm sorry. We're just being honest. And that was what we set out to do. So
not everybody's going to like everything. I don't get it. This band's got over 8 million monthly listeners now. I'll tell you, when we first reviewed Take Me Back to Eden 2 years ago, I feel like they were like around 1 or 2 million.
I think they might have just broke 2 at that time. So the rise has been incredibly fast.
Yeah.
So attribute it to whatever you want to attribute it to, but it's happened very quick.
Sleep Tokens, even in Arcadia. It was not for us. Maybe it's for you. Let us know in the comments.